The most expensive things you could buy off the dark web. Hello everyone, and welcome to Luxury by Design. And in this video, we'll show you the top 10 most expensive things you could buy off the dark web. You'll surely want to hit that like button, subscribe with the notification bell for future luxurious videos. Without further ado, let's get into it. Tibetan Antelope Scarf, $10,000. The beautiful Tibetan antelope has wool that can bring in $10,000 per piece. So you'd better believe they are poached to make luxury wraps called chastouches. And even worse, 4 of these animals are killed to make a single chatouche. We all know that an authentic rug is pricey. Well, this item is known as the king of wools in the Persian language. Some of these scarves are even worth $20,000, and it's said to be the warmest and softest fleece. The Tibetan antelope, a species found almost exclusively in the Changtang area of Tibet on the Tibetan Plateau, are wild animals that can be domesticated and shorn. The only way to get the wool is to kill them and strip it from their carcasses. So, clever and shy smugglers sneak the raw wool into India, where artisans in Kashmir weave it into neck-warming wraps. And in some cases, it takes 4 Tibetan antelopes to provide enough wool just for one scarf. Prices for these rare wraps have been documented at $5,000 to $20,000 for just one scarf that's said to be the finest wool in the world. Elephant tusk, $180,000. Unfortunately, behind every piece of ivory, whether it be a full tusk or a carved trinket, there's a dead elephant, and poachers kill about 20,000 elephants every single year for their tusks, which are then traded illegally in the international market to eventually end up as ivory trinkets. It's said that this trade is mostly driven by demand for ivory in parts of Asia. However, ivory has been a lightly valued material since ancient times, in art or manufacturing, for making a range of items, from ivory carvings to false teeth, piano keys, fans, and even dominoes. And now, the international trade in ivory has threatened the numbers of various species of the African and Asian elephants. So the ivory trade has been severely restricted by the United Nations Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora. Kidney, $262,000. Here's some trivia that will shock the hell out of you, or shall we say, put the fear of God in you. If you want to legally sell your heart in the US, it can be purchased for about $1 million. Livers come in second, worth about $557,000. And kidneys cost about $262,000. And if you want to know which countries are most famous for the illegal trade of organs, well, that's mostly prevalent in Israel, India, China, Pakistan, Turkey, Brazil, Nepal, the Philippines, Kosovo, Iran, and former Soviet states in Eastern Europe. Although we have 2 kidneys, we can actually live a healthy life with only one functioning kidney. One of the most common arguments against legalizing the markets in human kidneys is that this would result in the widespread misuse, which in turn would result in making the black market expand. However, other claims that the advantages of legalizing markets in human kidneys would probably outweigh its possible disadvantages. If forced coercion can be eliminated, we can engage in a free market. White rhino horn, $300,000. What the heck could the horn of a white rhino be used for? Well, they're used in traditional Chinese medicine, but increasingly common for the filthy rich to use as a status symbol to display their success and wealth. And so, we know what torment follows. Poaching is now a threat in all rhino range states. However, as South Africa is home to the majority of rhinos in the world, it is being heavily targeted. Historically, traditional Chinese medicine has mixed rhino horns with other natural ingredients for treating fever or relieving the symptoms of arthritis and gout. The list of historical uses also include headaches, hallucinations, high blood pressure, typhoid, snakebite, food poisoning, and even possession by spirits. These days, the main threat to the surviving rhinos comes from the illegal rhino horn trade between Africa and Asia. Certain buyers in Vietnam and China, the largest and second largest black market destinations respectively, covet rhino horn products for various purposes, like medicines, aphrodisiacs, gifts of carvings and utensils, investments, and jewelry. Silverback Gorilla, $400,000. In the 1980s, it was believed that less than 400 mountain gorillas remained worldwide. At such a precariously low number, the survival of the species was in doubt. However, by the grace of conservation efforts over the ensuing decades, that number has risen to just over 1,000. Yet the number of mountain gorillas still dwindle due to threats like habitat loss, disease, poaching, and civil unrest. Today, or at least before the Wuhan virus, tourists would gladly pay upwards of $600 per person for a permit to visit gorillas for 1 hour in some national parks throughout Africa, mostly in Uganda and Rwanda. This money has been vital in helping preserve the habitats of the silverback gorillas, and other strict means have been implemented. For example, under Uganda's stringent laws, poachers of silverback gorillas can face imprisonment or a fine of $5.4 million if found guilty of killing an endangered species. Mostly, poachers would risk life imprisonment for big game traders who could find buyers to use these animals as trophies. Plus, the bushmeat it provides has been known to be a delicacy also marketed to show people's grand social status. And others would simply eat the bushmeat as they faced extreme poverty. However, most villagers would rather sell the meat, as they could earn tens of thousands of dollars just for a few kilos. Also, some of the body parts of the gorillas are used for medicinal purposes. Highly enriched uranium, $500 a pound. We're all aware that highly enriched uranium, or HEU, is the substance needed to make a nuclear bomb. And with that much power, individuals and groups are willing to pay a fortune for it. This critical ingredient for making nuclear warheads is available on the black market and is reasonably easy to smuggle past a ring of expensive US-funded radiation sensors across borders. And according to reports, it's not clear how much nuclear material is in circulation and whether any has already been brought by extremist groups. Billions of dollars have been spent upgrading security at nuclear sites around the world, particularly in Russia, where it's been reported to have an estimated 700 tons of HEU in hundreds of facilities. The level of enrichment in uranium refers to the concentration of U-235, which is its most fissile isotope. The higher the concentration, the easier it is to trigger a chain reaction. Highly enriched uranium refers to anything above 20%, and to make a nuclear weapon small enough to transport anywhere, one will need HEU that is about 90% enriched. So of course, the value is much greater. Blood diamond, $4.3 million. A blood diamond or conflict diamond is any diamond that is mined in areas controlled by forces opposed to the legitimate internationally recognized government of a country, and that is sold to fund military action against that government. According to Britannica, this definition was formulated during the 1990s in parts of Western and Central Africa by rebel groups based in diamond-rich areas of their countries. The most infamous conflicts surrounding blood diamonds were in Angola, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and Sierra Leone. Although other conflicts in other places arose, rough diamonds mined in rebel-controlled areas were sold directly to merchants or were smuggled into neighboring countries, where they were merged into stocks of legitimately mined diamonds and then sold on the open market. The incredible wealth made from the sales of blood diamonds were used to buy arsenal for rebel groups, which fueled their extremely violent campaigns that brought great suffering to civilians, including slavery, torture, and execution. So today, dark web users can get their hands on black diamonds if they have millions of dollars. Heroin, $350 million for one shipment. The global heroin market is vast, with more than 15 million people consuming illicit opiates like opium, morphine, and heroin. But the large majority of use of heroin comes in its most lethal form. As a matter of fact, more users die each year from problems related to heroin use, and more are forced to seek treatments for addiction than for any other illicit drugs. Among these illicit narcotics, opiates are also the costliest in terms of treatment, medical care, and arguably drug-related violence. And since heroin is the drug most associated with injections, it brings about a host of acute and chronic health problems, including the transmission of bloodborne diseases such as HIV, AIDS, and hepatitis C. As a matter of fact, in Central Asia, Ukraine, and the Russian Federation, injecting opiates is linked to nearly 60 to 70% of all HIV infections. And since heroin is such an addictive drug, it has an extremely high demand. So for $350 million, a daring person can use the dark web to claim one shipment. Cocaine, $500 million for one shipment. The next most famous drug in the world that also causes mass violence and death is cocaine. Just towards the end of 2020, police in Paraguay found a record 2.3 tons of the substance hidden among a charcoal shipment bound for Israel. It had a huge estimate street value of $500 million, or 383 million pounds. It was the largest drug seizure police have made in South American country. Charcoal, a key Latin American export, has become a popular cover for trafficking cocaine across the international borders, and counter-narcotics officials think the cocaine was brought to Paraguay by air from Bolivia, which is the world's third biggest producer of the drug. Overall, this is the latest cause of tons of cocaine in one shipment that can be purchased via the dark web. Although knowledge is power, we encourage our viewers to not get involved in prohibited items or substances. With that said, hit that like button, share, subscribe with the notification bell for future luxurious videos. Until next time.